bit. Okay, so I made a dummy account with a throwaway email address, and you can run Medley. You can resume your previous session, and then now there's some show advanced options, which I don't think were there whenever I was using the guest account. And I still haven't really messed with this too much. I was reading some stuff earlier today, but I kind of want to go over some other stuff. One, how to sftp. So to sftp inside there, I'm going to hit start terminal session. And what we'll see here is we're running into Xterm, running TWM probably. And we can see like echo $0 to see we're running bash. And by default, it's throwing me in the home directory for Interlisp. So I want a cd.1. And then if I was to like ls-al, you'll see some of the files I've already have sitting in here for bash and X resources for the X11. And then first off, it doesn't resize with your browser like the Interlisp does, which I guess it doesn't really matter. So you have two ways to resize this stuff because it's running down so far. One would be to come over here and click and then choose resize. The other one is you can come over here and middle click this. This right here would shrink it if I middle click it. If I click it again, it'll expand it. And so when resizing in here, it's kind of strange. So if I click right here, it has this box, but it's not really doing anything. It's not to you. Like now if I come up here, now it's going to start resizing it. And same thing, like now I can't resize side to side. But if I wanted to resize side to side, then I could come over here past this, and then now I can start doing that. And so it's kind of strange. I don't really care about the width as much as the height, so let me come down to where the stuff all fits in. And then I'm just going to middle click right here. Can I just move this guy like that? Well, middle click on the back side, so we can just go over here and click. Then click on that, and then now it'll let me move this guy over here. Maybe I don't have to click that thing. Still, it's not quite as resized as I want, so let me just go like this real quick. Shrink it down a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure how you move this without clicking a button, so I'm going to click here and move. I'm just going to highlight move maybe, let go on move, and then move this up. And then there we go. Up here you see the username you're going to use, the password, and the port. I want to see these ports and the password are going to change every time you do this. So if I was to open up some kind of place, in this case my Debian WSL, then let me just put it down here a little bit. So first off, I want to just like cd to, let's say, junk maybe, and then I think I have a medley junk with nothing in it. So if I was to say like touch toes, and then now I have that file sitting there, then first I guess you want to be in whatever directory you want to be in. So you get there, and then you're going to sftp -o port. It's a little bit different than SSHing, unless they've changed it, at least in the old, like for the longest time, this is just the way I do it with SFTP. And it's 23339. And then you choose this username, and then it says to go to online.interlisp.org. And then it's probably going to bug you with this every time. You can hit yes or no, it doesn't matter, I guess. Well, I hear you would. I'm going to say yes, because that's going to change every time. So, and then it's a password up there, KNMUQSKD, which has nothing to do with your login for Interlisp. This is just like a random thing. So now if I ls, then I can see, so probably going to see in the CD into there, and ls-al. And then now you can see the stuff from over there. If I wanted to put that file, I could say put, what I call it, toes. This would throw it up there. if I wanted to get something, I could say like, I want to grab my bash RC file, then I can just get it like this and it'll grab it. So that's how you can get around. Well, I guess you could also like just CD around, but I mean, it's not the best way to get around inside sftp. SSH would be a better way. Oh, that makes you wonder if you can actually SSH into there too. So if I was to say SSH minus P 23339 and then give it this and then say at online.interlisp.org, and then it's asking me for a password. Is it going to be the same one? KNMUQSKD. So non-SFTP session. This allows FTP connections only. So that's cool. You really wouldn't want people getting in there like that, I guess. But, I mean, you have access to it right here. So we're actually inside Linux after all. So we could say like cat, etc. start release, and then see what we're running. We're running on Ubuntu. Usually this file's not that big, so sometimes on these Linuxes they have more than one of these. So there's probably another one in here, I'm guessing. So if I was to say like grep -I release, then you see there's two of them. So cat etc lsb dash release, let's see. And you'll see that the first half of it was just down to here, and then the other one's all this other stuff. A lot like Arch Linux would just have one of these. I think CentOS has like 3 or 4 of them in there sometimes, depending on what you're on. Although that's gone, so I guess maybe Rocky Linux or whatever someone's using is a change for that. So the first thing to notice is that there's a beep, which hopefully it's not too loud. And so I could say something like xset b off, and then now backspacing my sound's gone. But different commands. So if I was to say like less dot bash rc, let's say, go down to the bottom of the file, then maybe this will beep inside Interlisp, and xset b is not going to be the same thing you're always running, let's say, so there'll still be some beeping if you're running in a shell in there. And then maybe like vim.bash rc, let's see. So hitting K is not going to beep. But I'm pretty sure if I was to log into the Interlisp system, then some of the stuff's still going to be beeping if I was actually in a shell inside there. So some ways around that is you can use like bind and set bell style to none. And so just to make sure some other stuff doesn't beep inside there, I'm going to say like xset bell style none. And then I'm going to throw that into my home directory and an input RC. And I misspelled echo somehow. So then if I was to cat that .input.rc, I have that set bell style none. And then I think I saw like x default, x resources in there. So I'm going to say like vim.xresources. And then inside here, I'm going to add xterm star and give it a visual bell. It's a capital, yeah, bell. And then I want to say it's true. Xterm visual bell true. And then there's also an xterm visual bell line, and set that to true. What that's going to do is if sometimes they'll use the visual bell instead of the other bell, and that's going to make sure it only blinks one time if for some reason it's blinking more than once. And I don't know how to turn off the bell with the visual bell inside the X defaults. Let me just make sure that's correct because I think it is. And then less minus Q would stop the bell from working. And I don't know what all, like, if anything's using less inside there. So I'm probably just going to go into like the vim, the bashrc file, and then just come down to the bottom of this stuff down here, and then add a comment, turn some bells off, let's say. And inside here, I'm just going to export, and then we're going to do less. And then I want to set that to whatever it already is, because I don't know what they have it set as, and I didn't look. And I'm going to say minus Q. In here, I believe it's lowercase, though, maybe. And then, let's see, what else can I turn off in here? Might be able to turn that X set B off in here. And then now, I type less. Well, I have to source that file probably. And then less was already turned off because I got the, well, X set B on. And like it's not working probably because that input is still not making noise. And then also vim, even though that's set, less and vim can still make noises. There's also like a set term blink 0, but I don't think that'll work in the VT100, which the shell's using on the other one. And so let me just do a vim.vimrc. They don't already have one in there. And then inside here, I'm just going to set VB, which will, or you can type it out, but set VB. It'll set like a visual bell and turn off any kind of beeping. So now that we know how to do that, we can hit exit here. And then now I can run this guy here. And in the last video, I didn't show this because I didn't know if they really wanted anybody knowing this, but it doesn't matter because you can just sftp in there. But, well, let me do that again. If I was to come over here and go to chat and go to no login, and then choose shell, now inside Interlisp, I can straight up have a bash terminal and then see my bell's not working. And if I was to say like vim.bashrc, let's say, well, I gotta probably just cd, so now I'm in my home directory probably. And that's not big enough, so let's reshape this dude. Or shape that, here we go. Then maybe I'll come down a little bit. Well, it doesn't matter because I don't care about any of this stuff being covered up, let's say. And oops. Control P works, but Control N doesn't, so that's hard to get used to. Because, I mean, normally Control P is going to open up a print inside Chrome, I would think. But they have that overridden, but Control N still does this. So, and also less.bashrc, just to make sure that one's off too. Yeah, because these guys can still run. Probably with X set B off inside there. And so now I don't have those bells anymore, but you can still get that bell. I think over here you can say like beep on, and it'll beep. And then there's like one called like ring bells, and then beeps twice and blinks your screen. That blinks kind of like a visual bell. And also like somehow I'd probably turn that off. The whole Interlisp system inverts. Now you have your disk. So if I say ls disk over here, oops. You have your Interlisp disk. There's different disks inside here. There's like a I want to say there's a core. So I don't know if I can just type disk without a ls and see if it does anything. Yeah, so like ls, there's a core file I want to say. And then that is going to be where you can stuff stuff, and it's only going to be like a temporary folder. Of course, like running in memory. Anything you write in there is just going to be running in memory. There's another one that was I want to say LPT for printer. So like if I was to say ls LPT, then notice that's running. And then there's a null, which is just kind of like dev null. And then you have a ls, which is Unix. And then just hit any key to scroll through that stuff. And then notice this stuff right here is different than the disk one. So disk is Interlisp, and the Unix one is whatever underlying Unix system. And I want to say this Medley first came out with on a Sun box. So like Interlisp was on a Xerox workstations, and then Medley, I don't know like where this at what time this came out, but I want to say it was like they were like porting that over to Sun first before it ever came over to like Linux and Ubuntu like it is now. And then you can see a lot of the stuff like there's like claws and docs and doc tools. I mean CLOS, claws. I like to call it claws. Because it'll claw your eyes out trying to learn all that stuff. I just hit Control P to get that, and I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna hit Control E to cancel that. This LispUsers might be interesting. So I don't know like what directory I'm actually in, but if I also say like CD, and then also I want to say like these greater than signs right here, the right bracket, right angle bracket or whatever, these can be replaced with slashes. So if I was to say like CD, there's also like a change dir, but I couldn't get that to work. Like right here is vmem, let's say. So if I want to change dir, you can run this as a function or like this, I think. But if I also say vmem, it looks like I just changed that directory, but if I type ls, I didn't go inside there. Or if I was to say like cd vmem, then I actually went in there. So we can say like cd, and then if I was to say disk, and this pretty much is your home directory as far as I can tell. Disk is just going to default to your home directory, I think. But I could say like, now I can say, and in the documentation I saw they're using the first home like this. And then, so these and these are interchangeable. So I should be able to say like, and I can't tab complete. And then if I was to say IL, and then if I was to LS, it doesn't look like I actually changed. Well, I guess that's where I already was. If I was to say fix, maybe. Well, fix is my LS command. Fix 20, maybe. And I put the slash at the end of that. And then let's say if I was to say vmem. Also, whenever you're switching, I think you need to have the slash at the end. And see there, I actually did CD into there. So, as far as I can tell, you can get rid of this first angle bracket. It's just in some of the documentation I saw for the Sun Workstation documentation, they were doing it like that. And they said this bracket can be replaced, but on this system it seems to be you can just replace them all. So now if I was to say like, well, let me just ls this Unix again. Like that time it didn't work for some reason. ls Unix. Huh. Yeah, I messed something up. That is what I was typing before, right? I can't scroll up there though. Is there like a history of some sort? I don't know. So like if I was to say CD, Let's just see where that took me to disk. CD Unix. It seems like that change directory did something. Man, so maybe that change directory changed some stuff. I'll log out real quick and then log back in. It doesn't take too long. I'm still learning this. I'm definitely the wrong person to be learning this from. And then if we come back over here and say like ls Unix, then I have this back. So maybe that change directory is actually changing what that Unix directory did or something. The file I want to talk about is this one right here. So let me hit Control E. So this right here, this LispUsers. As far as I can tell, this used to be something that maybe it come from Sun, and then later Venue had it, but I think it's Sun. Inside there, so if I was to say like CD, maybe if I was to say Unix, and then maybe I can just say LispUsers maybe. So CD Unix. Can I do a? That's looks like it's all coming from Medley. Could I put a slash right there maybe? LispUsers. You know what might be going on also is I want to say the disk is not case sensitive, but this one is maybe. So if I was to say this again, and then I don't know if I need that slash there, but let's just say dot slash because it's the same directory. This might work, and then switch this to LispUsers. Okay, so that did work, right? Okay, so this LispUsers is stuff that people at Sun, I want to say, while they were working on this is stuff they built. And notice there's like the t-edit files. This is a FASL file, compiled file, and this dot file. I don't really know what those are, I guess. It'd be nice if they were the list files. I don't know how to like look at the files and stuff like that. But this is the stuff that they added inside there. I want to say too, like if you were over here in this chat window, because I think the timeouts are different. So if I was back over here, and if it ever times out on you, I can just type exit. If you come over here and middle click and just click reconnect, then you get back inside the Linux side of that. So that's something to note. Your Unix systems are case sensitive. Remember, this is called a host, by the way. It's just what I guess they were calling a host. Core, printer, null, disk, and Unix are the ones I found so far. And really, that's the only thing I wanted to make this video about, I think, was turning the beeps off, because they would be beeping on this side. And I don't know, like the C command. So like if I was to say, Control E to get out of there, like CD to disk, let's say. And that way you can type whatever you want. It's not case sensitive. Then inside here, there's a C file. So if I was to say c.bashrc, I don't know if this is like a cat or if I go down to the bottom. Yeah, it's more like cat than less. I didn't know if that was going to beep. I don't know if there's really much more that I want to put inside here. But there's also like, let's say like some commands. So infile p dot bash rc. Infile p, is this case sensitive? And infile p dot bash rc. And then this gives you the path. Another way to do that, I think, is if I was to fix this, let's say, and then, well, I'll just have to hit delete, let's say. Oops, I did it too many times. Might as well type that out. You can also do it like this, I think. Well, you know, I didn't, so hit delete and then make that lowercase. Dot, oh, I didn't put the dot there though. Bash RC, that might have been why. Does some of this stuff has to be quoted also? Those certain characters have to be quoted, like the dot and the tilde are okay in the beginning. And I think the tilde's okay anywhere, but that slash is okay. But I think this slash cannot be in a file name. And then certain other characters you have to quote in a file name, and the way you quote those is with this. So if there was some file, like say you can't use $, let's say, you would quote the $. If it, well, let's say a semicolon. The semicolon is kind of like the versioning, and so you couldn't use that. But if you had a file with a semicolon, then you would quote that. Can't think off of the top of my head what all you'd have to quote. And then there's certain environment variables. I guess like user greet files, I think it's called. And these are like files that you're, yeah, I think I went over some of this stuff in the other video, maybe. I can't remember all the stuff. And then you have one called like directories. And by the way, these are all il.directories. If you need to, if you're in a different like common Lisp or something, these are like Interlisp stuff. But there's weird stuff too that on the Sun system they had to be certain ways, and some of these things, like I think pretty much anything that starts with a slash, it interprets as being inside the IL by default. But there's like I guess you could say like default, was it default printing host maybe? And well, that one doesn't have a slash in it. What was to go to the front of the line? It's Control L maybe. Oh, that was a Alt Control L. And then like, how do I delete one character? But Alt greater than goes over one, and then I can do that, and then Control X to make that. So it's set to nil. And then there was another one called like slash. This one's case sensitive. Again, DST maybe 74. So like daylight saving starts on the 74th day. And these were all things that had to be set correctly. And there was like a in DST, and it shows you when like daylight saving times end. And the time had to be set also, I think, on the Xerox workstations anyway. I think on the like so Sun OS or any of the Linuxes, it just eats whatever the host OS has. I think the next video I'm going to make is going to be about trying to do stuff to Interlisp way with the way you save files and stuff, but I haven't learned all that stuff. Username. Here's like the username you have. If you're running this in a VM, you could suspend it, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, another thing too, I see like LDE. I don't know what that stands for, like maybe Lisp desktop environment or something. But I think, I want to say if I run this command over here, it's going to start another one. So look, now I have a whole new Interlisp system running inside here. And then, because I didn't put an ampersand, I can just come over to here and hit Control C. So that's kind of strange. And then there's a lot of stuff that maybe doesn't matter. Like there was like a real memory size, maybe. Was that what it was? That looks like it's a I typed that right. Real memory size. Yeah, I guess that one's not there. There's like a CL. Oh, you know what? These might be functions though. Real memory size. This is 0. So on a Xerox workstation, this would mean something, but on this system, it doesn't mean anything. And then you can use like CL machine type, I think. And this comes back as this, which I want to say is a Sun 3 box. If it was a Sun 4 box, it would come back as a Spark. Control U, I can delete all that stuff. But at the same time, there's also a like IL machine type without a dash, maybe, yeah. And then you see it's the Maiko, which is the emulator they got this thing running on top of. There was other ones. I think these are functions too, like machine version maybe. And yeah, it was that one's a that's a CL function, and that dwim do what I mean just corrected that for me. CL machine instance maybe, was it? And I want to say one of these is a host ID. And the other one's a host name. I don't remember how to. Host name, will show me that one. So here you can see that. Is that a host ID, a Linux command then? Yeah. So this is showing your host name and your host ID, or what these two things are. I'm still learning all this. So I don't even know where I'm supposed to type this, or if it's a function. And then you can see what version of Medley you're running, which I don't know, like, if they update this stuff since like version 2 came out, if it shows a minor releases or not, or any of that stuff. So let's just release version maybe. So it's 2.0. There's one called like my dot NS address, I want to say, which is probably like another bogus thing. Here's like it's just saying 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think on a Xerox it might have meant something, or this could have been on the Sun that it meant something. And then there's like a VMem size. I can't remember which one of these actually do stuff. And I want to say this is like 512 byte pages or something like that of virtual memory in use. I don't want to run the suspend one, but the suspend one was kind of like suspend. And then, yeah, that doesn't work here. Tab completion, suspend Lisp, I believe. Just says true, but it doesn't seem to do anything on this one. And so you have your username. And then you can also get the UNIX username, which I think is a function. Is this one a function? So this one's returning like the Interlisp username, and this is returning the in this case Ubuntu or Linux username that I'm using. You could, I want to say, see, I don't know if this is like Xerox or not, but or if it was on the Sun box. I want to say what might have been on the Sun box is whenever you want to like, you could set your username, you could set password, and you could set your login or something, or just type login, and these things will like log in and set your username and password. I want to say to connect to something else, not your Interlisp or your local anything. But I'm not sure about that because it's not stuff I can test out, I don't think, and I don't want to try it out. I'm kind of scared to run these commands. Control U. Also, I found out like in Common Lisp, if you want to unintern something, it's unintern, but here it's del def to like delete a del def is the, well, you know what? Okay, so this one I want to say you have to say like del def, and then you'd say like if it was a variable, it'd be whatever your variable name is, and then you put vars here, and then that would oh, maybe not. Oh, because I typed it wrong. Let's try fix, and then hold down Alt and less than, less than, less than until I get over here to the F, and then Control X to jump to the end and execute that. And then right here it would remove some var. So maybe if I was to say like define Q, nope, sorry, I think this is set Q, name the rivet, let's say. Yeah, that's true. And then Control X to get to the end. And so now if I say name, why didn't that work? I wonder. Set Q name ribbit. If I say name, I thought that was how I was doing the stuff in the last video. Anyway, I don't want to get caught up in some of this stuff. I'm still learning everything. And then if you wanted to like unintern a function, it would be like whatever your function name is, and then FNS. And it erased it even though it wasn't there, I guess. This is called a who line up top, but I haven't figured out how to like change the stuff. If you wanted to hide your username maybe, and you wanted to hide this stuff, which I don't know, like, I think I want to try it. I tried to log in this way with this stuff, but I'm not sure if it lets you do that while I'm talking about that to like sftp. I did get it to work the other way. But what I noticed too, which I didn't look at before, is if you click on that, it'll open up like a file manager where you can move around. So you can move around in here, and then you can download and upload files through this browser setting without having to SFTP, it looks like, but I haven't tried this yet. I don't know, like if there's anything else interesting at the moment. There are some differences in the way like files work. So like my inet file. So if I was to just say cd, then ls, let's say, then I'm in here where my inet file is. Let me get rid of that. And then if I wanted to see like a disk, and then the inet file, let's say, it'll show me the inet file. And notice this right here is just kind of like defaulting to this whole thing right here to IL, I believe. And then to do that in the Unix way, you'd say like C, what is it, Unix, and then here I could use the /init, I think, and then here's that file again. And I'm not sure here because this looks like it's a dummy file. It doesn't have stuff in here, but all the stuff's being set, so there must be like a default init, and it might have been in that files, like the greet files or whatever, or the system files that I was doing in the last video, I guess. And then versioning, I'm not sure how this works because I don't really have, well, here's one right here, right? So if I was to say C and do it this way, and then I was to say like init dot comma 1, then I did see that file. If I said fix, you can see that file's there. But I want to say if you want to use a Unix style, instead of doing it like this, then you'd say like C Unix, let's say. And then to do that one, I want to say it's init dot tilde 1 tilde. And that's how you get that. So that's the difference between these guys is, if I was to say fix 54 maybe, I think that should be the last command. The difference between these guys here is this is just the way the versioning comes through. And then here you'd have to do like this. Also, whenever you're doing Unix, let's say I have a inet 12. Then in Unix, if I wasn't to do anything but put inet here, it's going to be the .12. So there's like a hard link from, because the Unix isn't really keeping up with the versioning where the interlisp is. And so it automatically creates a hard link to the latest reversion. And so if I actually wanted to see this one, I'd have to type it this way. Where if I just typed it this way, it's going to be whatever the latest version that I edited was. And like right here, if I was to say like Control U and fix, let's say 55. And then right here, if this was the 23rd vision that I wanted to see, it would be like that. So that's all you're going to do is a tilde before and tilde after the version number, I guess, is how you see that specific one inside the Unix type file system. There's also like, I guess a find file, like when I was doing that end file. So if I was to say, try this again, end file P, and then inet, it shows that. I don't know the difference, but there's another one called find file. Maybe this is going to search around. And so if I said find file inet, they're just returning paths, but maybe this one you have to know it, and it's showing you the path, and this one will actually find it. Also, I want to say in the Unix ones, these are case sensitive. In the disk one, whenever you type disk instead of, when you type like disk right here, it's not case sensitive, but I want to say it's going to try all lowercase first. If it doesn't see that, then it runs again and it tries it with different, like tries it with different capitalizations till it finds it, and then it'll put it out. And then like there's, I don't know, like a lot of stuff is like spitting out. I haven't messed with this, but there's that an uppercase file names, I want to say, and then that's set to true, and like right here it's not all capital, so I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe it's just because this is talking about file names. I think there's one, so when that's set to true or nil, it changes stuff. But whenever you type directories, I want to say directory is a function. Directory is not a function. Then this is not gonna, that uppercase file names doesn't affect this particular command. Where like if I type ls inside here, yeah, see all the stuff's not uppercase anyway, so I'm not sure what exactly that affects. Trying to think if there's anything that I picked up today. There's a file that I was reading. Oh, I guess I still don't know everything about these. I don't know if this is a bash or what. So let's see, LDE. And some of these commands you'll see LDE, like when I ran LDE over there. But LDE, is it like source, which is really weird because I think it has an E there, sysout. And so I want, maybe this is something I can type over here. So it's an environment variable. Now case sensitivity matters over here. I just want to resize this real quick. I don't know why I'm scared to like overwrite some of these things over here. Control L. So if I was to say echo the same thing I typed over there with a $sign in front of it, maybe LDE source sysout, and then this shows you want to say this is what's going to be loaded full.sysout maybe by default for your sysout files. I'm not really sure how this works yet. And then there's a destination. So if I was to say echo, and so when you write out a sysout, this is the default directory it goes to, maybe LDEDST sysout. Is that what it is? Yeah. So this list virtual mem is the one that it's saving to with the sysout file by default. And then you can also see echo LDE inet maybe. And then maybe this is the default thing. And so when I was saying like mine's over here when I do the ls inet, well, actually I have to say c inet, don't I? Then it's saying this is like a dummy user inet file. I don't know if like something in here, maybe this is what's telling it not to use it. Like I don't know why it's not using this versus like if I create this file and set it to something, I'm wondering if it's still going to use this one unless I tell it to use mine now, because it doesn't seem like this one's overriding this one. Looks like there's a version 2 of this thing. But I don't see that when I say ls though. I don't know if ls minus al will work in there now. Just know whenever you're like trying to list like if I say list vmem, let's say, if I say ls vmem slash, it actually, so this n/ matters quite a bit when you're messing around with this stuff. There's also like while we're doing these echo $LDE, and you can hit tab here, you can see what the rest of them are. So there's a keyboard type. I don't know what that one does. X, maybe that's for like an X Windows system. I want to say there was different versions of Sun keyboards, and so on the Sun OS system it would matter. And then what's the other one? Echo LDE shell. That just says yes. I kind of wonder if that's what this is right here, maybe. This chat shell, no login shell that I'm using, but I don't know that for sure. I did one of them, but I didn't do the other one. Where I want to say like the default printer type. There is no printer hooked up for me to be messing with, but default printer type. And this comes back to Enterpress. But I saw it could be PostScript also in that Sun document. Okay, I'm trying to think what the name of that document was. And then you have like these, I think it's like an XCL though. So then here you have long site name, but name or names, nil. And I'm not really sure what these do, but it might set something. And then there was a short site name too, I think. But these are just set to nil on my system, I guess. And another thing that's interesting is, like whenever you do a save VM or log out or what are the other ones? There's like make sys maybe. I haven't messed with all these commands yet, so I'm not gonna like try them out. But and then log out itself. These right here, making stuff inside this Medley running on top of Solaris or Sun or whatever OS you're running this thing on top of, saves all the stuff that you've changed out. But when you're on a Xerox machine, it was periodically like saving the stuff. So like maybe like the virtual memory partitions were updated just in the background every once in a while, like maybe like when garbage collection running whenever it does or stuff like that. And so whenever you typed uh, save VM or logout, it only has to write the changes to that virtual page file because the rest of that stuff was being saved periodically. Where like on this system, it's not going to be doing that. Control U to get rid of all that stuff. Um, and you can set you could set this LDE sys out to, let's say, like wherever you want your stuff to go to. You could write it to like dev null, and then it won't even be saving any of your stuff. It'll just be like throwing it out. And to do something like that, you would just say like LDE, like LDE destination sysout equal dev null, probably. That's going to set that environment variable. And then now, if you saved your system, then it's just throwing it out in the ether, I guess you could say. There was also some commands to see like the Ethernet connection. Maybe that was that one that I did earlier, the NDS address or whatever it was, which I don't really think matters right here on this thing very much. Well, I guess until I learn some more stuff about this, Robert.